Hello everybody, I'm back again with more thoughts surrounding some new cards that have been revealed for the expansion. 6 new ones from content creators once again. Let's just jump into it, shall we? The first card we have here is Centurion Knights. This is a Northern Realms card. It is 4 provisions. I'm going to have to tell the provision costs as I have been doing since they're not on the website. So 4 provisions for a bronze, 2 strength, deploy melee, damage a unit by 2. And Death Blow, gain Vitality for 2 turns. So pretty straightforward. It's effectively a 4 for 4, and if you kill a unit with it, you get an extra 2 points potentially with that Vitality, boosting it at the end of the turn by 1 point for 2 turns. So effectively this is an upgraded Wolf Pack. That's the card a lot of people have been comparing this to. Obviously it's better than Wolf Pack significantly. Can get you 6 for 4, which is very good on your 4 provision bronzes at the moment. Stuff like Pirate Captain, for example, are really premium bronzes when they hit for that 6 value. So, effectively we're seeing a little bit of power creep in a way, or at least all the factions getting, maybe not all of them, but many of the factions getting access to these 4 provision, stronger than Wolf Pack, I guess, bronzes effectively. So nothing really to say about this other than, it's raising the baseline for bronzes in Northern Realms. This will probably, I imagine, see play in some decks. It doesn't seem too bad at all. It has a bit of boost synergy as well if you're playing like Lyrian Scythemen, of course, and what's the other one? The Infantry, of course. So I imagine that will be played a little bit. Nothing too crazy going on with it, of course. Kind of just a filler bronze in the set, I suppose, but might see play at some point. Probably will. And the next one is Svalblood Ravager, of course. This card used to be in the game and it's come back as a bronze, as a 4 provision card, 2 strength. And this one is deploy melee, damage an enemy by 2, same as the, Centurion Knight, of course. And Bloodthirst 2, give the enemy damaged by this unit bleeding for 2 turns. So not a death blow effect, but instead Bloodthirst 2 required to get that extra value. Same as Pirate Captain effectively, although a little bit more interruptible than Pirate Captain. It's got a bit of a higher floor, so the minimum you can get here is 4 points most of the time, whereas Pirate Captain's 3. I do think it's probably a bit worse than Pirate Captain on average, although it synergizes a bit more with things like, Great Swords and Dagger, who want damage procs at the end of every turn. This will enable that if you're looking for that. So, might be more played than Pirate Captain in some niche decks, but I think it probably won't be played as much as Centurion Knight will. Doesn't seem like enough of an upgrade on Pirate Captain. I might be missing something there, but it's a bit more conditional of a 6-point play if you do get the Bloodthirst. If you don't get the Bloodthirst, it's of course quite bad, so we'll expect this in Crack, but then you already have Pirate Captain. I'm not sure this would be played, but maybe if people are running Wolf Pack, they'd just rather run this instead, of course, so there's always a possibility to see this in Skellige decks. Okay, up next we have Nilfgaard, which is a 3 strength, 6 provision monster card, bronze, and it's got an order effect. When on the melee row, you drain an enemy unit by 1. It also has cooldown of 2 turns, so every couple of turns you can drain an enemy unit by 1, which means you take their strength, you take 1 strength from them, and whenever you play an organic card, you reduce this unit's cooldown by 1. So you can make it, I assume, only to a cooldown of 1. If you could use it infinitely, that would probably be a bit too strong. So presumably you play 1 organic card, this will go down to cooldown 1, and then every turn you can drain for 1 damage. So a few things here. It's a very kind of expensive engine for 3 points, considering, it's an order effect. Most 6 provision cost engines will at least be sort of 4 points, maybe 5, to guarantee you some value even if they die. Nilfgaard, on the other hand, it's not quite doing that, and if it gets moved as well, since it's melee locked, it's going to lose value. Honestly, I don't see this being very viable, just because even if you get it on the board and it doesn't die, the effect isn't that strong. It's effectively 1 point per turn until you play an organic card, and then it becomes 2 points per turn. But that means you have to be playing an organic card. I'm not even sure that monster decks are doing that right now. They aren't, I don't think. And I'm not sure they would be in the future. Maybe. I think Parasite might be an organic card. I might be wrong on that, but if it is, maybe that's one you play. But I just don't see that combo ever working consistently unless new organic cards are added. And even if that situation were to happen where you're getting 2 points a turn from this, it's still so easy to remove with tool removal if it ever gets boosted up high, to the high strengths. And it's just, yeah, not not good enough reward for the risk that you're taking when you play a 3.6 provision card. So I don't imagine this will be very good ever, but it's a pretty cool effect nonetheless. A little bit of deck building, synergy required, and yeah, of course another engine for monsters which don't have many of these sort of one ping per turn effects, like stuff like, Elven Swordmaster Gibbs or whatever for Scoia'tael. So pretty cool card, even though it probably won't be played. Next up we have the Nilfgaard Sword, and this is an artifact for 9 provisions. You just deploy, damage an enemy unit by 2, and if you kill the unit with that damage, you spawn and play a copy of the unit that you destroyed. So really interesting that we're getting an artifact with a deploy effect rather than an order effect, which is what I think pretty much all artifacts have had up to this point, unless I'm missing something, but I think they've all had order effects of some kind. I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works at the moment. I guess Black Blood technically isn't an order effect, but yeah, it's whatever. Anyway, this card, 9 provisions, seems pretty powerful potentially if you are able to kill a high provision unit, of course. Maybe thinking about killing those low strength, but powerful plays, something like Geralt or Jurden or Igni, or, all of those maybe tool removal cards, which, they're high provision cards if you can kill them, which should be easy to set up. You need 1 damage ping maybe to do that. Then you're going to be able to spawn a copy and play it, get maybe huge value from it. A little bit conditional effect though. If you're playing 2 points for 9 provisions, that's probably not very good most of the time. So we'll have to see if this sees play. I imagine in decks where you can quite easily set up low strength units, stuff like maybe Crack, maybe Ithne, Bruva as leaders to support this, then it might be working. And if your deck is prioritizing a lot of damage on your bronzes and whatnot with elves or whatever, then it might be worth playing. I'm not sure it's worth the risk sometimes, but when it works, it'll be really good. The other combo is with Vincent in Northern Realms. You can set a unit to 1 strength, maybe a big spear tip or something, and then whack it with this the turn after, and then spawn one of those for yourself. To be honest, I think it's a bit too easy to play around. You've got to just avoid that 2 strength if you can on your really valuable units, and you won't be playing into this at any time. But if the meta allows for it, and if there are cards which are very good to steal effectively, that are very high provision cost, low strength, then this might see play, and maybe in a few types of decks where you can really easily set up low strength units. At the moment, I'm not sure I see it, but it could be good. It's also worth noting you can do some spy synergy stuff if you play maybe a Willem, Prince Willem or whatever, and kill him. You can spawn a copy, or Vernon Roach, play 2 cards from your deck, then kill it with this, play another 2. That can be quite powerful, potentially, but we'll have to wait and see the combos that emerge with this card, and whether or not it will actually be playable. I'm a little bit hesitant to say it will be strong, but maybe. 9 provisions, I can see it getting a lot of value a lot of the time, so we'll see about that one. Pretty cool effect though, nonetheless. So next we have Tawny Shaelmar. This is a Nilfgaardian Gold. It is 4 strength and 9 provisions, and it has deploy on melee, damage a Nilfgaardian enemy unit by 7, and if you deploy on range, you boost self by 2 for every non-Nilfgaardian unit from your opponent's faction that is under your control. So this seems to be some kind of support for the assimilate archetype. You're making, you're creating or stealing or whatever units from your opponent's deck or from a different faction, and yeah, boosting your Tawny Shaelmar, or maybe you're playing Isbel, you're giving the opponent one of your cards and whacking it down with damage. It's worth noting in Nilfgaardian Mirrors this card will be very good because you're able to just get some nice maybe 6, 7 value on it most games, making it 10, 11 for 9, basically unconditionally, with removal value on top of that, which is kind of insane. So this is kind of an anti-meta, tech. If Nilfgaard ever gets good, you can play Nilfgaard yourself with Tawny Shaelmar in some way to be good against that. Right now, the cards that support this, there aren't that many of them, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were more introduced, more things that synergize with this and assimilate, maybe even a higher strength spy that this can then kill to gain synergy out of. Otherwise, with the current card set, it doesn't seem very powerful, but it could be one of those sleeper cards that ends up being quite good, depending on what, new cards also come out in the set. So I'd keep an eye on it. Pretty cool effect nonetheless, and yeah, a little bit of spy synergy if you can count that as well, which is quite cool. And finally, we do have Palmerin. And this guy is another Nilfgaard card, sorry, 5 points and 8 provisions, and he has deploy damage an enemy unit by 2, sorry, with a death blow of give adjacent allied units shields. If Milton is in your hand, trigger death blow on deploy. So effectively what he's doing is, yeah, damaging by 2, so 7 points for 8, and if you kill the unit, you give your adjacent ally shield. If you have Milton, which is another card, you know, a different card, presumably for Nilfgaard as well, then you don't have to do the death blow damage to get the shields. That will just happen naturally when you deploy him. So effectively another one of these sort of Orc, Serit, Letho style of cards where you have a different card in your hand and it synergizes with this one. So that would be pretty cool. It'd be interesting to see what Milton does and whether he is worth playing. But right now Palmerin looks probably okay. 7 for 8 is not amazing, but you get a bit of removal value, and if you're able to get shield from this effect, it might not be too bad. You know, it's important to note you won't really be able to protect engines most of the time with this, because it's a deploy effect rather than an order, so your engines will probably have already died or taken damage by the time you get around to playing this. But, you know, shield might still be valuable in that you can protect units that might be taking damage from crack or, you know, pirate captains, longships, all the damage that's currently, you know, popular in the meta right now. I could see if it is popular later, or if different sort of AoE or high damage decks, you know, are prevalent. If you've got a lot of decks that want to deal 4 damage here and there, right, then giving shields to your units might be, you know, quite powerful. It might be worth 1 point per shield, it might be worth 2 points, it might be worth none. Kind of just going to be depending on the meta, and yeah, how common 1 damage pings are, how common other damage is, whether you've got a lot of leaders that are really throwing out a ton of damage like maybe Crack does, or if it's more geared towards like Gurnikora style decks where they don't have much damage and more focused on their own board. That will kind of decide whether shields in this sort of Nilfgaardian setting are good. We'll see. I think this is quite a fairly statted card. I could see it definitely being played, I could see it not being played, depending on what Milton does, and depending on whether, yeah, those shields are going to be valuable or not. It will play into King Rogner pretty hard if your opponent's running those, so running him. So that's worth keeping in mind, of course. I don't think that will ever really be an interaction that's, you know, relevant, but I might be wrong about that. Either way, that is all the new cards that we've been shown today and yesterday. Let me know what you think about them. Are they cool? What's your favourite? All the rest of it. I'm really enjoying the season of reveals. I hope you guys are too. I will have gameplay tomorrow. Don't you worry about that. Probably be playing some Unseen Elder. Should be good. With that being said, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Thanks for the support as well on my previous video. That really was heartwarming. And with that being said, yeah, I'll see you guys next time.